Communication let me down. The importance of how we interact. Communication is key. It's something I'm sure you've all heard over and over again, like the broken record of a mid-40s relationship counsellor, but it is one of those eternal truths. The importance of being an effective communicator cannot be stressed enough, both in our general everyday life and more specifically in our relationships. It is only too evident that awkward interactions are a result of people with poor communicative ability, that and generally being too focused on themselves, their thoughts and feelings, how they're being perceived, etc. You may have come across a percentage breakdown of a communicated message, sometimes referred to as the 7-38-55 rule. Basically, the words used or spoken constitute only 7% of the conveyed message, whereas verbal cues, 38%, and non-verbal cues, 55%, play a far larger part in the process. Verbal cues generally refer to vocal elements such as tone of voice, and non-verbal cues are related to the person's body language, for example, facial expressions, gestures, and posture. While this is not an exact science, it is important to be aware of just how much is communicated beyond the text. The entire message is a lot more than just words. Our methods of communication have expanded, not so our ability. Technological advances have changed the way we communicate, with variations of text messaging and email being the primary method nowadays. And, as I illustrated previously, it is very easy to see where the shortcomings in this type of communication will arise. With just seeing the words, this relies on a lot of interpretation, and if we know anything about interpretations, is that they can be wrong, sometimes badly wrong. Also, unlike in face-to-face conversations, one cannot correct in real time nor seek clarity in the moment. These corrections are, at best, delayed. However, some of the main benefits of messaging and email are that it requires less effort, it is less confronting, and generally more convenient to send-receive reply in your own time rather than having to immediately, and seeing the other person's immediate reaction as well. Still, is this really better communication? COVID-19 social distancing and isolating measures has seen a reduction in face-to-face communicating, a trend we were already seeing anyway. Such has been our adaptation to video calling or conferencing. The saying, "I'll Zoom you later," has been removed of all sexual connotations. Well, almost. With video calling, you can at least see and hear the other person. You can pick up on some of the verbal and non-verbal cues, but the quality is not always that great. Plus, there is still something about being in the presence of another human being that can't be replicated electronically. One of the best substitutes we have, though a substitute all the same. We need our communication to be of high quality to avoid errors in assumptions and presumptions, leading to communication breakdown and tending towards argumentation. I'm generally in favour of more communication than less, despite being very selective and parsimonious with my words. Communication leads to greater clarity and understanding, a deeper sense of love and compassion in some cases, because our thoughts and feelings aren't as transparent as some people would have you believe. This transparency, or lack thereof, can lead to situations, especially in relationships, where one party says, "You should know how I feel," without me having to tell you, or that, "I know you so well," or "I know you better than you do," and they just tell the other person how they are feeling or thinking, regardless of what they are feeling or thinking. I'm not saying there aren't moments where this is correct, where people should be more empathetic to their partners, or that their partner sees something in them that they don't see in themselves. What I am saying is that problems can arise from this, as we aren't always right, and we should still seek clarity by communicating openly and honestly, and listening to understand, rather than just listening to respond and presuming we know. Sometimes, try listening more than talking. You might learn something. When talking in person with someone, you're more likely to get the full story per se. Face-to-face conversations are, for most people, the best way in helping you to articulate your thoughts and feelings. This aids awareness and clarifying potential problems or concerns one has, but it is usually more effortful and confronting. Sometimes we don't necessarily know what the problem is, but by communicating we can peel away the layers and hopefully get to the source or truth of the matter. Try taking a more holistic approach to communication. It is not just the ability to speak or write, but the ability to listen, understand and comprehend, and reflect that back to the other person. Communication, like a good relationship, is about reciprocity and understanding.